Last week, Senate Majority Leader Harry Reid postponed the discussion of tax cut extensions until after the election, and Speaker Nancy Pelosi has yet to announce if the House will tackle the issue before Congress adjourns Friday. Of course, if the House somehow squeezed in a difficult vote on taxes in the remaining hours in session, it would surely be just symbolic, because there is no chance of the Senate taking up the bill before the election. Vice President Biden has just told us that he respects the congressional leadership's judgment on the legislative strategy of the tax cuts. Continuing with me now is Keith Olbermann. Keith, I know too much. I've strategized tax bills in the Senate when I was working there at the Senate Finance Committee. I see both sides of this argument. I've been through it. I don't know. Is the Vice President right? You just have to let the people who are on the playing field make this strategic decision in the Congress?
But what is this decision? Is this decision designed to encourage voters in a particular state that things will be working out the way they want it, even though there's not going to be a vote? Is this about Harry Reid in Nevada particularly? Is that the idea behind it? Because, you know, obviously the work of Ms. Angle there has put Senator Reid back into that race when he really didn't have a chance, when he was just facing the chicken lady. Now, all of a sudden, he can win that one and return to his seat if he doesn't make a major mistake. And what my worry is that this decision has been made in the Senate to protect a couple of senators with this expectation that, don't worry, the polling shows that the voters understand that we're with them on this issue, even though we do not presently have the guts to even try it in the fashion that Nancy Pelosi is going with. On the other hand, if the House is willing to go and try this thing, especially with suspension, and go for the three-quarters vote, there is something at least symbolic. There is a willingness to show off the new automobile and see if you can actually drive it around the block or if it's made out of wood.
And at least the House members would have a vote that they could run on. This is my position. I voted on it.
And Democrats who are seeking seats held by Republican members right now could also just go and say they voted against this. This is what this would mean to you. That's $300 you don't have because of this guy. Get him out. But the assumption here, we've gotten so technical, as you point out, you know too much. Years ago at the Academy Awards, of all places, I asked Kevin Costner about doing this 7-hour pregame show that they were talking about doing as they do the Super Bowls. And he said, you know what, we know too much about the things we already know about. And he walked down after this Yogi Berra-ism and walked all the way down the red carpet and came back to me and said, could we take that quote off the record because I don't want to sound like Yogi Berra. And I said, well, but it made perfect sense. Right. Here it is. We are now, not just you, not just Harry Reid, not just the Speaker, not just Steny Hoyer, but everybody watching knows too much about the political strategy here to base a decision purely on what's right, what's wrong, what's going to get across to the nation. What is the correct point of view for the country? What separates a serious Democratic Party that has done incremental good in the last year and a half from a bunch of people who haven't been outside their own homes before who are running as this Republican Tea Party? And the thing that separates them is some courage, which clearly, whether it's courage or stupidity, the Tea Party has that in large doses. They'll go out and do anything, say anything, posit anything, and we do not see that coming. We see a defensive game played all the time by the Democrats, and there has to be some larger issue than the individual mechanics of each race. There has to be some sort of spiritual thing almost, if you forgive the use of the term, about a political party, about a political movement, about left, right. Even the center has to get enthusiastic about something. So it all dovetails back to your conversation with the Vice President. The whining would stop if the voting increased, I think.
You know, the senators that I've talked to who were in the caucus room when this decision was made in the Senate all tell me that this was made by the senators who are running for re-election, by and for them, and everyone else deferred to them. That's kind of traditionally the way things work in the Senate. Harry Reid is one of them. Yes. And defensive is the word, Keith. You mentioned it. Democrats in the Senate are always defensive on taxes. If they can avoid a tax debate with Republicans in an election season, they will do that. And as I understand it, they made this decision on the basis of what the senators running for re-election wanted to do.
I do defer to their professional expertise, as I defer to yours on this particular topic, but it just, as I said, it seems to me that sometimes you have to take a little bit of a risk. Otherwise, what is the point? I may now agree, if I'm in Nevada, I may agree with Harry Reid's point of view. I may even agree with him politically that he should play it close to the vest. But, you know, on the other hand, I might say, you're just not, you don't have the courage. I want somebody else, and I'll take 6 years of this idiot and then come back to you later.
You know, this is why I say I don't know. The inside the Beltway wisdom on this thing dictates one thing. What's happening out there with this wildfire that's going on with Tea Party, there is something loose in the voting population that we don't really understand. It is a very tough call to say which way to go on this one. Keith Olbermann, thank you very much for joining me tonight. Keith Olbermann, the book is Pitchforks and Torches, available now for pre-order. And, of course, there is Countdown in its new re-air time at 11 p.m. Eastern, immediately following The Last Word. I cannot thank you enough for getting me started on this first show.
You're very welcome, and keep them there till 11 o'clock. Thank you.